You know, I watch a lot of videos from people that I subscribe to, and several of them comment about women, and in particular, well, let me back up. They comment about groups, and they basically state that most groups don't support black people, but black people pretty much tend to support most groups when they have problems, especially when the problems concern the majority. And I've been of the opinion that they are wrong, because I kind of figure, with a couple of exceptions, that most groups, you know, that are reasonable pretty much will stand with us. Now, they may not be in the front, they may be in the back somewhere, but, you know, for the most part, I believe that when something is up, pretty much most groups, and I'm talking about Hispanics, Muslims, Asians, etc., will pretty much stand with us, you know, with, you know, a couple of exceptions. But I came across this particular clip on MSNBC, and it had to do with Hispanic women. And when I heard it, one particular group jumped into my mind. Cubans. Not just any Cubans, Florida Cubans. And for some reason, you know, a bell went off in my head that Florida Cubans are somewhat different from pretty much any other Hispanic group that I've run across. And after I viewed this particular clip, it made me kind of think that maybe some of the opinions that the people that I subscribe to, this might be the reason why they feel the way that they do. Now, I want to play this clip about Latinas for Trump. And I want you to pay attention to the things that they say as far as their reasons for supporting Trump and their willingness to ignore all of the negative aspects of Donald Trump, and in particular, Trump's racist attitude.
Women in Miami are the first time publicly declaring themselves as Latinas for Trump, even as they've been mocked and laughed at for their choice for president. And earlier this week, dozens of Trump supporters, including Democrats, some libertarians, they all showed up at an event billed as a coming out party for Hispanic women. Joining me now, Denise Galvez and Ileana Garcia, both Trump supporters who organized that event. All right, ladies, I'm very curious. Denise, I'll speak to you first here, because as I understand it, you run a public relations firm, right?
All right, I'm going to stop it there. Now, these two women, I don't want to call them chicks, women, organizing events, but they camouflaged it. They basically titled it Latinas that are coming out for politics. They didn't title it Latinas or Latinas for Trump. So they had a bunch of different groups, obviously Republicans, Independents, and Democrats coming to their function, but the purpose of their function was to get Latina women to support Trump. And they should have titled it that, but obviously they knew what was going to go down if they had titled the function for what it really was. Anyway, that's number one. So that's a little sneaky, but okay. Let's go from here.
Yes. Okay. Donald Trump, has he said things that were you to be advising him as his PR advisor, you'd say, oh, please don't go there. Why did you do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely not advise him to use a lot of the words and the language he uses.
So then
if I were his.
All right, so then what draws you to him? Can you not take him at his word?
We were just talking about that actually right now between us. We being from Miami, I think that a lot of the rhetoric that he uses, we're kind of used to hearing amongst our Cuban grandparents or uncles.
I know. I read that you said you described, hey, we've all got a crazy uncle that talks like that, and that's fine around a family gathering at Thanksgiving. But that's a lot different when you've got someone who may go off as leader of the free world. I mean, do you at all worry about the ramifications of that?
Now,
I think that.
Now, notice what they said. They're used to the rhetoric of Donald Trump. So that means that around their, kitchen tables or family gatherings, their grandparents and probably parents and other relatives are saying a lot of the same things that Trump is saying, i.e., the racist stuff that they would advise Trump not to say in public. So they're used to it. So now that gives you a bit of insight on where they're coming from.
Number one of the things that the media's done an excellent job of is hashtagging constantly the word rhetoric on him. I can understand that at times he's been amok. To me, that defines some type of transparency, a no filter, which is always linked with perhaps some type of sincerity. We lived perhaps 7 wonderful years of beautiful speeches, whereas they were nice, they were exactly what we wanted to hear, but didn't necessarily hit home. Both Denise and I belong to that middle class that went from being like this to like this. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why we decided that we were going to look beyond the rhetoric and the xenophobia and the racism to try to see something else, which is what we see as some type of new hope for our generation, for the Latinas and for the Americans in general, because we're both Cuban-American, second-generation Cubans here in Miami. So we look beyond that. For us, there are other things that he represents that are much more important.
So now you have to explain something to me. You decided to look beyond the fact that Donald Trump is a racist. That's a hell of a lot to have to look beyond, because Donald Trump has expressed racist tendencies towards Hispanic people, Mexicans in particular, but I guess Cubans really don't identify with Mexicans. They don't identify with Puerto Ricans. They don't identify with anybody, to my knowledge, and I know a hell of a lot of Cubans. But they don't identify with any other Hispanic group other than themselves, for the most part. But the Cubans that I know don't look past Donald Trump's quote-unquote rhetoric. So you're upset because your, I guess, businesses have shrunk, your lifestyles have shrunk. Is it possible that because of the Republicans being unwilling to work with the executive branch in order to get things done, that they are the cause of your problem, and that you probably need to look at them and getting rid of them as a solution, rather than bringing in a racist who does not have a history of getting anything done other than enriching himself? Just a thought.
Yeah, we're focused on the big picture.
Eliana, if I have it right, you were an independent and you have registered Republican for this race, correct? I mean, I know in your past you voted for Bill Clinton, for George Bush, and for Mitt Romney. What is it about a Trump, about casting your Trump vote, that you think, I mean, do you feel different about this race than you did about the prior 3 when you voted the other way?
You know that I've actually been very passionate about this particular campaign, and it came straight out of the first time I saw him debate. And that was probably one of the wildest debates, was the first one. And for me, it was passionate. I felt so apathetic with the system, with everything that had been happening for so long with establishment on both sides. And I was like, I've got to bet, this is the horse I'm going to bet on. This is the horse I'm going to bet on. I was considering Hillary at a given point. There was Jeb. Also, there was also Marco Rubio, which is Cuban-American, just like us. But there was something about him, about his transparency, and really his way of speaking doesn't really bother me. There are some times where he says things where he just shoots himself in the foot and basically just feeds the media to, hit that point all the time and not hit other points that we should be addressing. But, it works. It works.
Do you at all worry, though, that his comments, and this is to either of you, can spur, racist feelings and reactions that way that are so negative?
Of course. Of course, and to be honest, one of the reasons we have come out and one of the reasons we formed the group is to try to sway those that are on the fence, that are undecided. And I think the only way to do that is for him to definitely calm his rhetoric. So
But you just got through, or your friend just got through saying that he's transparent and he is the way he is. So if he is the way he is, how do you, who have no connection with him whatsoever, think you're going to be able to sway his rhetoric? It's not going to happen. The man is 70 years old. He's not changing. And for you to think that you can change him is a bit presumptuous, to say the least.
Affiliated at all with his campaign. We're doing this completely volunteer. We did it more than anything because we felt ostracized. We were being ridiculed. We were being called crazy. We were being insulted. And we wondered how many more like us were secretly supporting him and hadn't come out. So that was the whole reason for the event. And we were amazed at the people that came out. They were nothing like us.
Now, you're saying that you were amazed at the people that came out, but you didn't tell them exactly what the function was for. You camouflaged the function. That's why you got so many people. I'm willing to bet that if you had titled that Latinas for Trump, you wouldn't have got anywhere near the number of people that showed up at your function. So that's disingenuous.
I mean, they were not the typical Cuban-Americans that people thought were going to come out for our event. We had people from all walks.
We had everything come out. And personally, you can't really say that someone can make you feel racist. I mean, that's something that's either in you or not.
Well,
obviously, based on Trump's history, it's in him. You ladies haven't done your homework.
And I just see that there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on, and it just seems that recently you can't say anything because everyone's offended all the time.
Leanna, so may I ask you, because you mentioned both candidates, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. So my question to you is, do you wish that you had a different choice if you wanted to support the Republican Party?
I wish that there were different options for, Trump's taken out 16 people, 14 of which were establishment, 15 were establishment, 15 were establishment. And, we had different options and we ended up with Trump. I think that that's not a question for me. I think that that's a question for the Republican Party. And it sort of angers me when I watch them go back and forth about that all the time. We're like a month and a half away from the convention. We're months away from the election. And to see them go back and forth like that, when they used to torture him in the beginning, telling him, listen, even if you don't make it, are you going to support the person that gets nominated? And they tortured him and they made such an issue out of it. And now that he's the nominee, now they're torturing him again. So, I guess it works. It works for someone. It keeps the media outlet busy, and there's just someone to beat up on. So when he goes off the handle every once in a while, I can understand the pressure because since we started the group, we get pressure 24/7.
They're torturing him because of his racist comments. And I would not call that torture. I would call that calling him out for making racist comments. So if it's torture to let somebody know what their opinions are wrong, and the whole world's looking at them, other than obviously you and the people that have joined your group, because I guess misery loves company, and you were tired of people getting on YouTube by yourself, so you wanted to attract a bunch of other Latino women to kind of spread out the misery. You know, it is what it is.
You guys do.
All the
You
time.
ladies do.
All the time.
Well, we will watch the development of Latinas for Trump. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Okay, so again, Latinas for Trump, but you should have said Cubanas for Trump, because I don't think you're going to get too many people of Mexican heritage or even Puerto Rican heritage joining your group, but I could be wrong.